they make, because something obviously has to be switched up. You can't just go into game number 2 with the same plan that you had in game number 1, because game number 1's plan did not work. Nope, it was not in line. It seemed like they were keeping up, but keeping up was all that they were doing for a while. Cloud9 appeared in the driver's seat for the entirety of that one, and now we'll see what happens as Lyon Gaming has elected to take blue side here in game number 2. So with the side switch, maybe that'll bring up some different strategies as they ban out Rakan, Gnar, and Galio. Cloud9 responds by banning out Braum, taking Kalista off the table. They picked it last time. They're saying, nope, Lyon, you don't get to do that this time. They got one more.
I guess the question is, Sejuani is always an option. Jarvan is always going to be another one that they could look towards. And do they want to get rid of those champions when they're on the red side and they could pick more of them than just Lyon, who get the choice of one? Not going to be the case.
Nope, they take the Jace out of there. A potential pick for both Jural and Seiya, but they won't let them have it, and they will give that Jarvan over to Lyon Gaming, first pick.
And what I like about this from Cloud9 with the target ban is that, yes, you will give over the J4, but you'll have champions for yourself to pick. Xayah is always going to be great. There's no Rakan for it, however, and they don't necessarily have to pick their jungler here if they don't want. It could be something like the Alistar just to have a strong 2v2, and it could be something that controls the 2v2 in laning. They have a pretty good eye in on what their opponents are going to be picking, but if they really want to, they can still take away the champion that Oddie was destroying Summoner's Rift on. Still is that 100% pick ban champion in the Sedge.
Contract's thinking about keeping that number where it is, hovering the Sejuani for now to go along with that Xayah. Xayah, obviously, like any other AD carry, benefiting from having a nice, strong front line in front of her to soak all that damage and allow her as much firing time as possible. And Contracts will just drain the clock out here as he waits for this pick and does end up locking it in.
Yeah, so he'll be locking in the Sejuani. We still don't know which role Lyon's Jarvan is going to be going into. I'm sure we'll find that one out soon enough as we wait for them to stop hovering the monkey and make their decisions. Now, you still expect the bottom lane, I would feel like, to be picked this time around from Lyon, and the Alistar Tristana is still the lane you'd be looking at unless they want to change things up.
Maybe one day we'll actually get to see one of these troll picks locked in. I'm just waiting. I always brace myself on that 1% chance that you actually do see the monkey locked in, but no monkey business today. Instead, it's just Varus picked up by Lyon Gaming, and the Tristana that they had last time was open, but they opted not to go with it. Want to try the Varus this time, switch things up a bit.
You'd say a bit more lane control from the Varus from a distance, where you don't necessarily have to trade with your opponents, and Xayah does love having a good trade-off. When you stand there and try and proc the satchel, she will just get all the feathers out in the world, as they've locked in their top laner as well. So they've revealed their hand early, and we have left supports completely bare.
And it looks like Cloud9 will respond to that big old tanky top laner with a big old tanky top laner of their own. Perhaps the biggest and tankiest top laner of all, considering he does get huge depending on how many enemies you are able to eat by the end of the game. Cho'Gath locked in.
That's the case, so they'll get the Cho'Gath. Now, he does have kill threat still for one of the tanks that you lock in. Cloud9 will be very happy about exactly that fact, where you've got the Maokai for Jural. And look, he is a great Maokai player. He's someone that will be able to do a lot of work with it. His team fighting awareness, his teleports will all be great, but he doesn't have the same kill threat that the Cho'Gath will have. So that's ultimately the dynamic we're going to have to explore here. The mid laner of Lyon may want to do a fair amount of damage.
I always enjoy, and by enjoy I mean kind of scratch my head and wonder a little bit, when you watch a Cho'Gath team fight and you see all the players on the enemy team really skirting around the edge of that fight at 75% HP or so until you see the Cho'Gath ulti go off, because they know how much damage that thing does, and they know they're within kill threat of it with that and a little bit more damage. So I enjoy watching a Cho'Gath player find the right targets and be able to just hit them in that instant that they're not paying attention.
Watching the tanks also hang off his big void spikes, trying to stop him from moving forward, but they can't.
Especially if the Cho'Gath gets full-size 12 stack. Why is he so massive, Cho'Gath? But back into the draft as we're seeing it now. The bans in the second phase here. Alistar and LeBlanc banned out by Cloud9. Lyon Gaming responding by getting rid of the Rise, just like last time, as well as the Thresh.
Now, the Syndra Orianna is still there. Of course, one being hovered at the moment, actually just going to be locked in. So they do a very similar draft style to that of Lyon in the last game through their second ban and pick phase. And now the question to me is, what does Lyon want to play into that Syndra? They could be the Echo type of team. They could play something like the Corki that can build the Hex Drinker, but Orianna is the matchup we saw last game.
I mean, the Orianna worked out really well when Jensen played it. Can Seiya play the same matchup? And we get to see it. It's Christmas on Summoner's Rift, Rusty. I love these situations, you get to see the matchup from both sides, you get to see the players switch, and you get to see who truly knows the matchup better.
It's ultimate skill matchup time, Captain Flowers. That's the name of the game in mid lane. And still the rest of the team compositions to be devised. The very makeshift bottom lane, I think it's fair to say, from Lyon.
Just piecing it together a little bit here, and Varus and Lulu together. I mean, you've got some range, you've got some poke. Lulu can protect the Varus if he gets jumped on.
I think the Lulu's a denial from Sneaky and Smoothie, trying to prevent the strongest, lane dominant and lane pressure based 2v2, something that can diffuse the pressure that a Varus has. So Smoothie's going to go for the second best version of a Lulu.
Smoothie saying, you want an Ardent Sensor champ? I'm going to show you an Ardent Sensor champ. Picking up that Janna, one of the best users of that item that has been so strong and so prolific in the meta for the past few patches. And we'll see him on it here. Provides a lot of peel power, along with the fact that, Sneaky on the Xayah, that's a champion that you don't normally like running into anyway because of the stuns and the disengage from the ulti, and Janna just makes it worse.
Yeah, we've seen Sneaky play it in this tournament once already and was incredible. He was making some big plays, diving people, utilizing a lot of skills that Mystic has been showing everybody on Summoner's Rift. The fact that you can use your Blade Caller, you can flash, and you can redirect all of the feathers as well. There's a lot of cool mechanics on Xayah. Sneaky seems to know them all. And he's also got that Janna supporting him that you mentioned into a Varus. So fairly equal when you look at the range of the auto attacks against one another, but the spell weaving could be the difference.
And I'm happy to say that you were right coming into this Champion Select, Rusty, about how the top laners are picking more of those team fighters this time around. You just have very similar squads from both teams. You got a hard-hitting mid laner, you got a solid auto-attacking AD carry, you've got a supporty support, and you've got two giant meatballs rolling ahead of all of them, colliding into each other, and it's just going to be these front-to-back 5 versus 5 battles.
In a roundabout way, there were similar compositions in game 1, but Cloud9 dismantled them. Coming into game number 2, you have to feel like the odds are still stacked against Lyon. But as you mentioned, the compositions share a lot of similarities. And so the first place you'll always be directing your attention is Oddie's early jungling.
And we come into these best of 5s, and we talked at the start about the adaptation, right? We said that was one of the big names in best of 5. One of the other big names in best of 5. That's actually, I'm going to interrupt my own self.
Let's go, girls.
That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool Star Guardian animation right there. But one of the other things that we always try to keep in mind, along with the adaptation between the games, is the mental fortitude of the players, right? You come off of a loss like that, if you're Lyon, you got to make sure you're keeping your head in the game, keeping yourself from tilting, and just being ready to go into this game saying, okay, forget about the last one, new game now, let's have our solid strategy ready to go.
Don't be the direwolves, is it? Don't lose to Cloud9 until it's a best of 5s this time around. Lyon, I actually don't expect them to be in any way mentally affected by game number 1. You'd have to imagine if you were Lyon coming into this best of 5, it's an upset if you win. That's just the way that everybody in the world will be looking at this best of 5 series. And I'm sure Lyon, they'll come in with high hopes and high expectations of themselves, but they won't ultimately be disappointed. So they'll be able to bounce back, reassess what went wrong in game number 1, come into game number 2 with guns blazing and try and, fix those problems.
Jensen stepping out of the way of Seiya's command attack, finding some damage of his own with the Thunderlord's proc, and these guys aren't even willing to wait for the minion.
No, they're not.
We watched them last game just blow their entire combos on each other as everybody else was playing for turrets and objectives, and it looks like this game's going to be the same damn thing.
They've got a point to prove against one another, it feels like. Jensen's really trying to beat him around as White Lotus and Genthix, they're just 2v3. They just want to stop this blue buff. They want to damage the 2v2 of Sneaky and Smoothie. Pests, get out.
They're trying to remind Cloud9 how bad it feels to have your blue buff invaded on constantly. Contracts goes ahead, drops the smite there to make sure that
look at Oddie.
Nothing happens.
He knows
Lord.
exactly where the jungler of C9 is.
Is Oddie actually going to find Contracts here? Is he going to steal away the frog? Goes for Contracts. Contracts trying to grab himself the frog, but he's not even able to get it. Tries to flash away and does get there, but losing out on that camp means Oddie's ahead.
And that is so dangerous for Contracts. It puts Oddie ahead by a decent amount of experience. He's going to be able to go back to the Raptor camps, and he should be perfectly fine for this now. Also, the flash being gone is the biggest win of all, and I really respect that Oddie didn't use the flash of his own. It shows good communication between Lyon Gaming's bottom lane and their jungler to say that Smoothie was on the way. Smoothie has heal, has shield. It's not worth flashing after that one and potentially dying. And so he just walks away and takes the advantage.
And honestly, that's a good thing to point out. Smoothie is on the heal this game while Sneaky has the barrier for himself. So a very defensive Summoner Spell combination between these two compared to the more traditional heal, plus the Ignite on Genthix for, honestly, pretty much the most aggressive combo you can go for in the bot lane, unless you wanted to do some really cheesy stuff, putting an Exhaust and an Ignite together. But Cloud9 making sure that they're keeping Sneaky protected as much as possible. Impact moves up, fires off the Scryer's Bloom, takes the Blast Cone right back to lane.
Really good from Impact. He'll be able to spot out Oddie as he arrives towards the Gromp and perhaps the blue buff, depending on, yep, you'll be able to see him just barely there. And just knowing where he's going to be, when he's going to be there. Most importantly, Impact pushing top lane to be able to do all of that unimpeded by any means. Gives time for Contracts to try and just get to level 3, catch up, maybe just stop Oddie from ganking until the level 6 mark where ultimates are there. It's still a big win for Cloud9 overall because they just want to keep farming. However, that problem that you mentioned, the Ignite that exists in the bottom lane, it starts to add up to CS differences. It starts to add up to lane control, just pressure in general that a Lulu will have with that Varus. Sneaky and Smoothie may need some help.
White Lotus and Lyon are really happy to see things looking this way, especially after last game where the lane quickly found itself going in the favor of Sneaky and Smoothie. We talked about how quickly they built up those CS leads and how it was part of the reason why it seemed like although Lyon was matching Cloud9, Cloud9 was just running away with the game anyway. Nice damage there from Jensen onto Seiya, but now he's going to have to deal with Audi wanting to show up here in the mid lane. Runs down through the bottom part of the river towards his own jungler instead. Audi and Seiya obviously realize something is up, so they don't want to go in on that one.
They don't realize this, though.
Audi does have the level advantage over Contracts.
I don't think Contracts wants to outright 1v1 him. He's looking for the counter gank through the tri-bush. Smoothie and Sneaky, I don't actually know what Contracts was achieving there. He just blast coned on the spot. Here we go.
Okay, Audi face checks the brush. Contracts getting some damage down there. Finds himself a stun. Audi with the flag and drag over the wall to keep himself safe as now the counterattack begins. Lyon Gaming looking to find something here potentially on to Sneaky. He's got the barrier to keep himself healthy.
Very awkward trade coming out of both of these lanes. Sneaky uses the barrier, White Lotus uses the heal, and so ultimately it's just a trade of summoner spells. And the reason Contract's even able to be aggressive onto Oddie with a level disadvantage is because he has the jump and he has the Janna nearby. So he's able to chunk him, force Oddie to disengage, and by Oddie having to disengage, he couldn't go in and go forwards when the rest of Lyon regrouped and wanted to. The Cloud9, they just get to regain some control down the bottom lane, push it in, maybe get a base in.
Which is exactly what you were talking about earlier, right? You were saying maybe Cloud9 needs some help in this bottom lane. Contracts delivers it. It gives some breathing room to these guys, if nothing else, and allows them to keep this lane in an acceptable state. But Lyon's going to do everything in their power to stop this back from being efficient.
They stopped the recalls. Definitely a good decision. It was on a cannon wave as well, so Cloud9 would have played that one out perfectly if they were allowed to go back to base, but they weren't. And so the lane continues. The pressure continues. Sneaky has limited mana to the point where they will lose this lane. They will get pushed in. And Contracts, even with the smallest amount of help he was able to provide to them, unfortunately doesn't change the state of that bottom lane. But Sneaky's still farming fine.
Speaking of farming fine, the top lane also even between these guys. Mid lane pretty much even. Honestly, the biggest CS discrepancy we see is in the jungle, but that one's kind of not really as much of a discrepancy as you would think usually, considering the value of the camps. Yeah, you can have 10 for Krugs or 1 for a Gromp, but there is a gold lead there for the Jarvan of almost, actually over 300 compared to his counterpart in the Sedge.
Yeah, taking the Gromp away super early, having tempo to get the second camp of the Raptors is pretty much the entirety of all of that. So he's doing very well for himself, compliments of what they did at level 1. Oddie does seem to like these level 2 plays with early cheese.
Contracts down nearly a full level compared to Audi as well, so not just gold, but experience going the way of the Lyon Gaming jungler. Sneaky and Smoothie trying to trade while the Janna shield holds, but still finding themselves at a disadvantage here against this combo of the Varus and Lulu.
And you can't take away my blue buff this time is basically the name of the game. We'll take it away from you. They've got tempo, they've got control of mid lane, enough to get Seiya free, enough to give him the blue buff. And perhaps it really is as simple as saying the Orianna in the matchup is the one who gets the blues now.
Could be the way to see it. Contract still only level 5. Trying to continue farming up, get himself caught up with what he lost earlier. Audi halfway to level 6. Both these junglers have those big impact level 6 abilities that truly make the ganks that much more effective, that much scarier. Almost going to be guaranteed to force a summoner spell out with either one of them or just get the kill outright. Lyon Gaming, this time, Rusty, the game's still 0-0. Nobody's dead yet, but they're the ones with the slight gold lead.
They certainly are, and a lot of that still revolves through the bottom lane. Being able to recall and get that 20 CS advantage again, The fact that C9 couldn't go to base results in all of this happening, and suddenly Summoner's Rift looks like a much happier place to be if you're Oddie and Seiya. Almost reminiscent of what happened in game number 1 on the blue side when Cloud9 were playing this. They push and they have the free ability to leave the lane. Well, the shoe's on the other foot, and the question's now going to be, could Lyon continue and try and find some kills, try and find some mid-game macro control over Summoner's Rift that was decent from them in game number 1.
Right, do we get to see the Lyon Gaming macro from game number 1 as well as the Lyon Gaming team fighting potential that we saw during the group stage against WE? If both of those Lyon Gamings can show up together, this team could be a force to be reckoned with.
And the shoe is very much on the other foot. Seiya's going back-to-back blue buffs. It's not just about taking it away from C9, because they start with taking it away from Cloud9. Jensen doesn't get it, and so he doesn't have control of mid lane. They are able to clear, able to get 2 back-to-back blue buffs. Big wins for Lyon. Unfortunately, these big wins aren't worth monetary value. It's just control of Summoner's Rift.
Contracts moving up into the top side here, wanting to creep through those lane brushes, potentially set up a bit of a trap against Giral, who throws a sapling into the river brush. Now Contracts makes his way onto Giral, seeing if they're able to find the burst here. The stun, where's the feast? Giral wanting to get himself away, pops off the Nature's Grasp. The Sejuani ulti comes through. Impact wants to get a big old bite out of him, but can't quite do it. First blood goes to Giral. Cloud9 with the mistake.
Really big mistake coming out of Impact to follow that one through. He had no chance of getting the kill once the flash was out from Giral. That's so tragic as well.
That was just poorly executed from Cloud9's top laner. You could tell he was hesitating as soon as the Nature's Grasp was fired off. He was thinking, okay, we got as much as we were going to get, but then he goes further.
And they both hesitate. Contracts gets in, it was great. Impact, they do a lot of damage, but Giral gets just enough time to use the W, to dodge out on the feast, disengage, and from this point, they hesitate, they turn around and say, no, I can kill, but Q cooldown, it's always going to be there. Minions are what provides the kill in the end. Contracts isn't able to help secure that by any means because Impact just oversteps his boundaries. Looks like just a poor decision.
White Lotus eating a lot of damage in this bottom side from Sneaky and Smoothie. Both AD carries dropping down to about half, popping those potions to get themselves back up, as we do see the rotations coming bot side. Lyon Gaming bringing both
Teleport
jungler
in as well,
and mid laner, as well as the top laner now with the TP. Sneaky's in some trouble, likely going to be dropping here. No way to escape the 1 versus 5. Seiya grabs the kill, and Lyon Gaming is off to the races.
And they've got everybody down here in the bottom lane. The turret's theirs. It's the first turret in the game. And Lyon get themselves a 2,000 gold lead. Just capitalizing on, once again, control of the middle lane, control wards through all of the river. They will go straight towards this Drake, so the opportunity to trade structures is always going to be an opportunity for C9. Because Contracts was on the bottom side of the rift, that's not even going to happen.
Lyon grabbed themselves 2 kills. They get the turret. Now they've got the Drake. It's Cloud, so they're not going to get much extra power out of it, but it will give them extra rotational advantage to make more plays like this.
And teleporting to the flags, very classily done. Once again, Oddie forces the flash out of Smoothie early. So Smoothie now has nothing to keep Sneaky alive. Oddie forces him to disengage. Lulu uses the ult on herself, very close to killing Oddie, still compliments of the turret, but they all survive and it's all good in the end.
And what was the conversation about at the top of the day, Rusty? Can Lyon set the Cloud9 bottom lane behind and find victory through that? And it looks like this game they're doing it.
And Cloud9's top lane are helping themselves to being a little bit behind if we're going to draw the comparison as well.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. I don't think anybody could argue that one against you. Impact, I'm sure, fully aware of exactly how that happened. Not too happy with it himself, but it's only one death.
You are correct in saying that getting the bottom lane behind is the name of the game. We've seen it work to a degree of success, and we said that Lyon, perhaps a better team than those who have played against C9 already in the group stage, to put them in deficits. Well, can they carry that part through? Because the gold lead, it doesn't stand out as anything substantial. It's about if they can now upset the tempo of the map through the small advantages they have. Well, they've lane swapped, they've started to try it.
I like what you saw in the bottom lane there a couple moments ago. Giral went down there, used the ultimate to clear the wave away, to slow the push from Sneaky and Smoothie, to buy his own guys time, to equalize everything up here in the top side, and it looks like they will do just that. It's going to be 2 turrets now for Lyon Gaming.
It will be traded, you'd have to imagine, on the bottom side. Sneaky and Smoothie have had an abundance of time down there just to continue to push, just to continue to pressure. So ultimately, that is a trade, but it opens the map up so much more
Seiya taking a lot of damage here from Jensen. Barely walks away from the ult.
Just another day in the mid lane offense, except for this.
Oh, Jensen now going to be dumped. The power of the jungle coming in once again for Lyon Gaming.
And this time, Lyon are the team that have the reinforcements arriving. Contracts is forced out of the jungle even though he gets the red buff. And mid lane pressure is there to be secured.
Can Lyon grab themselves turret number 3? This is the most important of those outer turrets. Gives them the most access to the enemy jungle, but it looks like it will be stopped by Cloud9 for now, but that thing's barely clinging to life.
Yeah, still not a lot of health on that mid lane outer turret. Seiya had no resources left after this trade to be able to continue to push off pressure following team fight. Just another day in the mid lane offense between Jensen and Seiya have just got some personal beef apparently, going at one another constantly, but they took the top lane outer turret and instead of recalling and resetting, they roamed mid. Really good awareness out of Lyon, knowing exactly where they wanted to be and how kind of Jensen to, unfortunately for him, set them up for it.
And I mean, they even gave the kill over to White Lotus. That couldn't have gone better for Lyon. Exactly what they wanted to be doing. Blade of the Ruined King will be online for that Varus here very, very soon. And considering Sneaky Xayah is a bit behind and also going for an expensive item in the Essence Reaver, Varus is going to be stronger faster.
He certainly is. Rushing the Berserker Greaves to match the move speed of Sneaky as well. But once he gets that Blade of the Ruined King, once he spikes to that one item, not needing the Zeal item afterwards as well like Sneaky does, well, then they can immediately look towards objectives. They've got the Rift Herald as a big point of contention that I would say should be free to take if C9 don't start rotating up. They are right now, though.
Cloud9 finding themselves on the back foot now. Have to see how well this team plays. Remember, you mentioned it earlier, there was one game that we got to see Cloud9 actually in some trouble in the early game during the play-in group stage. That was up against the Dire Wolves.
Yeah.
Things looked very sketchy for a while, but like you said, it was 15 minutes of Cloud9 losing and then 12 minutes and they destroy the enemy Nexus. So you've got to make sure that you're keeping your game tight if you're Lyon Gaming here. You cannot give those opportunities over to Cloud9 to come back into the game. That's one thing Lyon's actually really good at in their own region, is preventing opponents from snowballing with a lead. Now they've got to make sure that they don't allow Cloud9 to do the same.
That's definitely the case, of course, while stretching your own lead at the same time as they're going on Jensen.
Jensen again going to be found out. White Lotus cashing in for the second time onto the Cloud9 mid laner.
Just gets completely blasted. When you have no flash against the Jarvan, there is really no way to escape, no one to keep you alive in that situation when all of the damage from Lyon is starting to come online. And suddenly this turret is in jeopardy. It will go down. Look at C9 on the map. They're just going to try and trade. Lyon should just keep pushing. Sneaky needed to recall.
I mean, Lyon's 4 strong here in the mid lane. There's no reason to stop. They've already taken the tier 1, going on to the tier 2. Sneaky dedicated to grabbing this tier 1 on the top side, but that is not a worthwhile trade.
No, and he's going to get it very late. There should be enough time for Lyon even to look at a Rift Herald or just recall, reset, spend all of their money, and then go back to that Herald. Cloud9 have all of the vision control in the world that they need, but vision control doesn't save a mid lane turret when they don't want to defend it, it seems.
Lyon is 4-0 with a 2-turret lead, including a tier 2 that they just traded for a tier 1, and they're up 2,500 gold. This team is looking so much better than they did in game number 1.
They certainly do. It feels like they've warmed up. They got the jitters completely removed. They shook them off. It was something that we actually said they might want to do. Yeah, done it.
Well, I'm glad they followed our suggestion.
Thank God.
Lyon wanting to make sure this is a series. They really want to find that spot in the main event, the main group stage there at Worlds. But first, they do actually have to win 3 of these games against Cloud9, which is a pretty tall order, but they're on their way to it right now. Contracts, though, will secure the Rift Herald for the side of Cloud9, so that's one objective that they will manage to keep under their own control, not concede over to the side of Lyon Gaming.
Yeah.
Speaking of those neutral objectives, though, next one going to be spawning here in 5 seconds with another Cloud Drake. We'll have to see how the teams prioritize this.
Contracts just stopped his recall to do Wolves because he's got the bottom lane nearby. Seemingly aware of this, Contract just doesn't actually care. That's a very awkward interaction.
Want these Wolves.
Lyon actually on the other side of the rift without their AD carry placing vision as well. So right now, a lot of the vision game seems to be how we're playing this on out. But neither team with an effort towards killing the person that's placing the vision.
Impact just eats that big old grump. Not really too concerned about Audi stealing that one away. Lyon starts up the Cloud Drake. Cloud9, do you want to contest this one? They've got Impact on the front line there.
He has
really
no
3,000
ultimate,
HP.
Makes you wonder if that's something that Cloud9 do want to fight for when Impact doesn't have the ultimate there. The threat to kill the carry starts to dwindle as a result. Shockwaves can win an entire team fight themselves now that he's got the Haunting guys as well. Compliments of not going towards the Sork shoes, needed the Mercs.
And Cloud9 knows that all too well. Cloud9 has won a lot of games of their own off of Jensen hitting big shockwaves when the team was behind. So they won't have that tool in their own arsenal this game. Audi running away here from Contract, gets himself stunned up. Contract just walks back out before he gets collapsed on by the bottom lane from Lyon.
They weren't far away. At a moment's notice, Lyon could have been there, but Audi also now, once again, we're doing the vision game. That is the most important part here. Summoner spells are all up and available, and so very difficult to make the place unless Contracts just walks
Contracts with some interesting jungle pathing there, not able to charge himself over the wall. Good body block by Audi. Tries to flash, but Giral is right there with the Nature's Grasp to make sure they find the kill. Audi just says the hell with it and jumps back over the wall with the flash, and Lyon goes towards the Cloud Drake.
Yeah, and it's going to be a free Cloud Drake. Contracts, not too sure what he was planning by walking into all of them where they don't have vision. You can see the wards right there. Pretty clear that he doesn't know where they are.
Just seems disrespectful from Cloud9, honestly.
I'm honestly not sure if it was just a misclick.
One of the two. It was either disrespectful or it was a misclick. Because in most situations, this is not the path you take.
I wonder where they are there. Oh god. It's probably the, the team comms there.
The inner monologue?
That's it. Inner monologue. Auto attack was going to kill him, but Audi ults for safety and then realizes that he has to flash because it wasn't safe after all. But it's still a nice pick. 2 Cloud Drakes going over to the side of Lyon. They are well and truly set up in this game, but the gold hasn't grown. They got a pick.
Nope.
They got the Drake. Drake's not worth money. There's still a Rift Herald on contract, so there's a chance they can break the mid lane outer turret if they look towards it as a big objective.
And this is starting to resemble a bit of what we saw from Lyon during the play-in group stage, where they would win the fights, they would find the picks, they would put themselves in a good spot, but they weren't building the same kind of leads that you would see from teams like WE, like Cloud9, like Fnatic when they got ahead, where it's like, okay, now this lead's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until the game ends. Lyon takes more time to make those leads into something truly game-ending. Right now, Cloud9's trying to equalize a bit of that gold, but Shelly doesn't do much of anything.
You'll take it, though, if you're Cloud9. A big chunk of damage done onto the mid lane structure means that they can take it down with any stray minion wave that Lyon forget to go towards. That was the blue buff spawn, where Saya disappeared that they were able to spawn the Herald in the first place, and now they hang around. I don't know if they can make this play, but it feels like they really want it.
All right, they're going to start things off. Sejuani ulti down onto Audi, and Jensen finds himself the kill. Cloud9 finally on the board, and they take the tier 1 turret down along with it.
Big choice to just kill Audi, and I quite like that. Very reserved from C9. They don't want a team fight. They just want to try and get the goal back going for them. Any macro plays they can make, picking number mismatches effectively on Summoner's Rift, and utilizing, most importantly, their very good vision control that they have been placing absolutely everywhere throughout this game. From the moment they started losing, they just placed wards everywhere they could.
Very defensive strategy, working out to staunch that bleeding a bit, right? You can fall behind, but as long as you don't fall drastically behind, there's always that opportunity to come back. You can always bank on a big team fight later. We've talked about how Lyon Gaming showed some impressive team fighting during the play-in group stage, but Cloud9 is also a team that has had a history of team fighting their way out of tough situations in the past.
And it's very easy to play that game plan if you look at Lyon and their past track record just in the play-ins tournament as it stands right now. They get ahead early, the mid-game was shaky, and so if you just play strong mid-game like Team WE did, well, there's a very low chance that Lyon know how to react accordingly to grow those gold leads, to get themselves into the winning position. They're at the cusp of it, and suddenly the gold's now 1,000 from what was 2,000. Could have been 3 if they were the ones making the play, but it's not the case. All of the mid lane outers are gone, the mid lane inner is gone. They should be able to push up, get vision in C9's side of the map. But they can't. They're not. In fact, Cloud9 have majority of the vision control.
You know, honestly, that gold lead you're talking about, if you look at where the gold is actually allocated, the top and the jungle, the front lines for these teams, very, very close. The bottom lane actually evens out as White Lotus is 1,000 gold, well, 1,500 now ahead of Sneaky, while Genthix is a similar amount behind Smoothie. But then if you look at the mid lane, it's Saya with a significant lead over Jensen. That's been shrunk a little bit now, but he's still got the lead over the guy who is normally the star player for Cloud9.
That's a coin feeling, if ever I've seen one as well. Rushing the Ardent Sensor usually the name of the game, but in this case, they can upgrade their sight stones. They've got all the money and income coming in for Smoothie. And as laning phase dissipates for Genthix, he's not going to be auto-attacking everybody nearly as much, so he won't be earning the same amount of gold. However, you do have that big AD carry in White Lotus. He's going to have a QSS, so very difficult to kill, honestly, at this stage. And when he's got the frontliners, yes, they're equal. Still a Maokai and a J4 who's building relatively tanky. Knight's Vow to keep him alive. How do you get to the Varus?
Worth pointing out that Maokai tanky with the Righteous Glory and the Spirit Visage. Righteous Glory also up on the Cho'Gath, who has completed his Gargoyle Stoneplate. Means not only is he that much tankier, but his Feast also has that extra damage multiplier that makes it that much more deadly if he finds his way onto one of those squishy targets, or even to execute one of the tanks, like what we saw into Audi.
And he just straight rushed that as well. The game plan from Impact. We have seen some Cho'Gaths go towards Adaptive Helms, maybe third or fourth item. We've seen some not go Gargoyle Stoneplate at all, but he wants to kill those carries. He wants to get in. And here we go.
Here we go. Fight gonna be breaking out. Onto the front line goes Contracts, throws down the ulti, not finding anybody with the stun. Immediately Smoothie getting himself rooted up by the ulti from the Varus, as now Gerald makes his way into the thick of things. Gonna be Wild Growth, but immediately flashes his way out of it. Sneaky now finding the opportunity to fire onto some isolated targets. Shockwave not gonna be coming up big this time. Sneaky grabbing the kill onto Gerald as Smoothie looks to refresh the fight with the Janna ultimate. Lyon trying to get themselves out of this one. They've lost the fight for now. We mentioned Cloud9's team fighting, and it shows up here.
Dural goes very deep by himself. Impact still had the ultimate at the end of this fight as well. The carry threats. How do you get in when Cho'Gath threatens killing you? And when the Shockwave misses, which was smartly played by Cloud9 to dodge it, well then a lot of the team fighting capabilities starts to go away for Lyon. Well played team fight from Cloud9, but it was capitalizing on the over-aggression from Girol, who wanted to go forwards, use the Righteous Glory at a time where his team probably couldn't follow him up, and that was the case. They were zoned away. The second they tried to get it as well, Smoothie is just a machine.
Take a look at exactly how it all went down here. Got our camera angle zooming into the river as the two teams collide.
And Lyon evidently want to go for this fight. White Lotus has used the ultimate. He traps a lot of people in place. But Dural goes in here, flashes away as Lulu ults him, and then Sneaky's just got free reign on both of them with Jensen. They're in trouble. Flash from the Shockwave as well, and then watch Smoothie as White Lotus wants to come in and do damage. Just chucks them all out and says, not today. Team fight's already ours.
And that victory also affords Cloud9 enough presence on the map to grab the third Drake of the game, keep Lyon from getting that 3 Cloud Drakes to nothing advantage, giving them a ridiculous 75 move speed. Now it's 50 compared to 25, out of combat of course. Much easier to digest comparison.
Everyone's moving quickly though. That's the name of the game.
Everybody's sped up.
We've got a Janna, we've got a Lulu. Orianna even speeds everybody up. We're going super quickly on Summoner's Rift. Cloud Drakes are just going to augment that, especially when we get closer to that Elder Drake time in the game.
And I want to point out, the gold lead has shifted ever so slightly. It's the smallest of leads, but it is in the favor of Cloud9 now, even though they're down in turrets and kills. Now they're looking to start things off here onto Audi, who's going to be saved by the Wild Growth for now. Shockwave finding its way onto Contract, who's the first casualty of this fight. Impact going to be forced to flash out now as well. It's Cloud9 who commits the sins that Lyon committed last time, and they go too deep.
They certainly do. So Lyon with that one pick, yes, it's only under Contract, but that's the jungler at 26 minutes. Baron is always a threat, but look at Cloud9's wards. It doesn't mean that they can just walk into Baron willingly, Lyon, without Cloud9 knowing. So they walk through the jungle back to their middle lane. They'll defend the one place Lyon we're looking at. They get a pick. But what does the pick mean for Lyon, where Cloud9 got a Drake, where they've got the gold lead, they got everything? It looks like they'll try for this.
Going for tier 2. A little bit more damage to burn through here. Impact will do as much as he can to clear the minion wave away. White Lotus going to draw the tower aggro there, but it doesn't really matter that much when you've got the Lulu shield and another wave coming up right after you. Lyon does find their reward for grabbing that pick early.
Playing around the rift, pushing mid lane, rotating the bottom lane. This is what happens when you have side lane control. Lyon were able to just walk back to those minion waves that were prepared earlier. So they get a turret, they bring back that gold lead. We find ourselves in a very close game number 2 here, Captain Flowers.
This is the kind of game I was hoping for this whole series. Contracts firing off the ulti in the replay.
He goes forward, he is the one engaging. That's the difference between the two fights. Shockwave, Jarvan ultimate, it was an awful lot used for just the one member of Cloud9, but they get that pick, and it means that they have to disengage Cloud9, they have to back it up. They did.
Now Cloud9. I jinxed him last time. I said, Cloud9's ahead in the gold. Look at that, Rusty. And sure enough, as soon as I say it, Lyon says nope. But now, Lyon is back in the driver's seat. Let's see how well they do with it. The game is teetering on a knife's edge, though. One small misplay, one minor outplay could tilt this game in either team's favor significantly. We could see that into an avalanche of momentum. Or it could just tilt right back on the other side of the knife. We don't know.
Now, as you get to 28 odd minutes into this game, I absolutely believe that if it is on a knife's edge, that one moment means more. It's much more significant. The knife sharper, if we're going to follow with the analogy as well. You got those big team fights. The Baron's always going to be a place of contention. The next Drake's only the Ocean. It's not going to be an Elder.
Yeah, he's not very important, is he?
No, unfortunately for him.
Poor little Ocean Drake. He's pretty cool if you get him the first time. If he's the first Drake to spawn, you grab him early and he's there for the laning phase.
He does a lot for you.
Man, if first Ocean Drake shows up 28 minutes into the game, you're just not very concerned with him at all. He doesn't do anything except add you some extra damage onto your Elder Drake buff, maybe.
What he does do is die so that the Elder can come up afterwards. The most exciting part about a 28-minute Ocean Drake is what's next.
You kill him, you get him out of the way, and you get the next one in there. Speaking of killing stuff to get it out of the way, removing some of the vision now that Cloud9 plays down around the mid lane. Lyon clears that out as they continue to try to vie back and forth for this positioning here around mid lane. You talked about Baron, how that's always going to be a factor. And
this
right now,
bush is literally where the game's being decided, it feels like.
Impact going to be the target here by Lyon. Contract's throwing out the ulti onto White Lotus, trying to disengage things here. Nature's Grasp fired off, finds its way only onto Contract. Impact is isolated by himself. Impact trying to get himself away from this one. Audi now going to be feasted upon. Impact, though, taken low and taken down. White Lotus found himself the killing spree as now Sneaky has to disengage. Giral so tanky with his own Gargoyle Stone Plate. That's another 1 for 0 for Lyon.
So many things were used in this fight except for the Shockwave from Sayer. It is up, it is available.
Oh, they're going right back into it. Jensen forced to flash out. Sneaky looking for the auto attack damage. Giral on the front line looking to isolate Contracts, pulling him back in. Shockwave going to drag him further back into the clutches of White Lotus. Contracts walks away. For now, Sneaky still very healthy. White Lotus still full HP. So much on these 80 carries. 3-0 and 3 on the Varus, 1-1 and 0 on the Xayah. 3 items completed on both.
Very tense fighting coming out of both of these teams. Sneaky is doing so much work. They caught Jensen out of position, it looked like, but his stun on the back end of that was incredible. Cloud9, they are teleporting in for this. Lyon are going to match it.
What a Baron call by Cloud9. This is the kind of really, really interesting play that can make or break the game. Now Baron's going to be below half HP. Giral in the front line. Contract's going to be tanking. Jensen needs to back away. Contracts needs to back away. He cannot get out in time.
They're going to go back to the
Lyon
Baron.
Has found the Baron leashed for them by their opponents. Cloud9, now they're the ones who have to stop this. Varus ulti misses. Chains of Corruption not finding the mark means a lot of CC not available on the side of Lyon.
Giral's still doing the Baron buff as well. This is just the biggest bait of all time. They have to back away. Nobody has anything up and available.
Both sides have to quit. Everyone's out of resources. Everyone's out of momentum. Sneaky backs off to grab himself some creeps, and we all go home. Some of them with a limp.
Thank God. Some dead as well, actually. Contracts is in the death chamber
more
for
than
10 more seconds there. A couple of legs removed, not just the lip. Cloud9, they move over to the Baron buff, and it was an okay idea. They may perhaps thought that Lyon were recalling, but that was a very early teleport out of Giral. Super good awareness. White Lotus will pick up the kill as he gets ulted, and then back onto the Baron. The problem here is White Lotus actually misses his ult, and that was the engage onto Impact. Now that engage is gone, Sneaky does his relevant damage, and is able to back it up, back away. And this is when they look at each other, they stare each other down, they both just say, nah, we can't do that.
All right, here we go again, Rusty. The fact that we got people hanging around this
bush
means that we're gonna have a fight. We'll just have to see who ends up going in first. Contracts takes some poke there, and now it's Giral who gets caught out. Nature's Grasp comes flying through, finds its way onto a couple of different targets. Jensen with no flash, remember, he used it in the last fight. Giral gonna be the first one down. Shockwave onto Jensen. If they can take him down, that is gonna be huge, but White Lotus now gonna be silenced, knocked up into the air, the damage coming through. The stun lands, but Adi is running interference. Saya grabbing the kill onto Impact. It's a double kill for Contract.
They sacrifice themselves, though, Lyon, to keep the two carries alive. Saya and White Lotus are still there. Jensen dead. Cho'Gath dead means the carries, there's not a lot of threat to kill them. It's just sneaky.
Contracts has Warmogs as well. Look at his health just surging back up. He's going to be ready for a fight should one break out here.
Oh, they want it too. They're not doing Baron, they're baiting.
Oh, Cloud9
but it was a blue
hanging
trinket,
out.
they know.
Nice use of blue trinket there, and you could hear the noise from the piercing arrow also finding its way into someone, but Cloud9 now saying, hey, they got both these blue trinkets in here, they're both disabled. Let's start this up. Make them come in here and fight. Contract showing up, slowing down White Lotus, but good moves coming out from both carries of Lyon to avoid the danger, and they force Cloud9 back.
Yeah, really nice stuff from Lyon. Using the Orianna ball as well for vision to see where the Sejuani will be. There's only one place he could have been, so they back it up and they get out perfectly fine. We get to see how this fight happens. Once again, Jirol caught out of position at the beginning, where they just put him into the bounce house. They crowd control him everywhere. Oddie throws himself at Jensen. That's what they're looking at doing. The Maokai was already dead, so from this point, you're like, oh, it's a bit rough. However, Oddie goes back forwards, keeps Impact in place so that he will die, and makes sure they can't cover the distance to get to White Lotus. They all understand who the carries are in these games, and they all understand what it takes to protect them.
Look at the damage in the last fight. 5,000 from White Lotus, nearly 6,000 from Sneaky. These two guys are going to determine the outcome of this game on their own, if nothing else. It just comes down to who can get the angles and who can find the DPS.
And this is one of those games against Captain Flowers where you look at the carries from Lyon and it's 2-0-5 for Seiya and it's 5-0-4 for White Lotus. Big carries, neither of them really understand how to die in League of Legends when they're playing this well, because it's just so hard to kill them. The rest of Lyon will stand in front of them as bodyguards every single time.
It's a combination of good positioning and great teamwork. Like you just said, the rest of the team is not afraid to be that bullet sponge for these guys and protect the VIPs. Impact pops the Righteous Glory. They're gonna stomp Lumber up there, but he's just a little bit too slow. Can't quite get in time. 0-3-5 on this Cho'Gath. Not the most impressive of score lines, but he just needs to be that front line for his own carries. Jensen losing the Banshee's Veil there.
No, don't push up too far, Cloud9. Stay at the bush.
Oh yeah, this is where we have to fight. Everything has to happen at this bush.
Like, everyone's worked that out, but we're all still perfectly okay with it because they fight every single time either way. C9 on a ward. Also, that one ward just placed on the other side of the bush is spotting Contract constantly. And so the inside track also may belong to C9. The knowledge game lies with Lyon.
Cloud9 getting those side lanes pushed out now. Impact to the bottom lane is now Smoothie going to be jumped on. Oddie looking to start this fight up. They know Cloud9 is only 3 strong. And they're able to find the kill onto 1. Now can they make it 2? Contract's forced to flash over the wall, keeping himself alive, but it's still a 1-for-0 fight going the way of Lyon. Good trigger pull there, recognizing the fact that they had a huge numbers advantage.
5 ultimates used, however, for just the 1 kill onto Smoothie means that as they push in, as they look towards controlling Summoner's Rift for the Baron specifically, I feel like C9 can still walk in. I feel like they can still fight for this, but they've committed. They're doing it.
Baron is at half HP, Rusty. Here we go. Cloud9's got to make their move, but it's already done. Lions have got the objective. Now they might be able to find the attack here onto the rest of Cloud9, grabbing onto Impact. He pops the Stone Plate, has to try to get himself away, pops the Feast before he dies, should drop. And Oddie puts the flag on the corpse and walks away.
Yeah, everybody's still going to be able to back it up from Lyon as well with the Baron buff on 5 members. So many shields to keep Jirol alive. And now they've got the Baron. Now they actually have the capabilities of controlling all of the map through all 3 lanes pushing. And now we find ourselves in this position where C9 actually a bit on the back foot, but they're not. They're just going to push in, apparently.
Flexing their muscles in the enemy jungle, trying to get something out of this, but they may just end up losing their own jungler. Contract's trying to run away, but the Nature's Grasp locks him down and takes him out. Sneaky, not quite having enough damage to return the favor as Cloud9 loses yet another for nothing.
And Lyon still with 5 alive will say thank you and then just go back to base again. Thanks, Contract.
Do their thing, yeah.
What a nice guy. He's able to give them an extra 300 gold. They're teleporting top lane. There's 35 seconds on him. Impact is only just alive, so an extra turret will be theirs.
Lyon grabbing this turret should take them up to over a 4,000 gold lead compared to Cloud9. 37 minutes into the game. It's not the greatest lead, but it is something that they can use to leverage this advantage along with this huge minion wave. Jirol and Seiya not stopping. White Lotus and Genthix now brought in as well. Tier 3 demolished.
They've got this. Jensen's not even rotating. He has no mana. He's just going to recall. Free inhibitor for Lyon.
Great moves from Lyon Gaming, out-rotating Cloud9, recognizing the fact that Jensen was vulnerable like that, and free is free.
It certainly is, and of course, we said the mechanics are there from Lyon, but they focused so hard on macro in that first game. Well, now we're seeing both, and it feels like they are a very good side when we have both showing up for them. Still incredible scorelines on both of their carries, an incredible performance so far. And with one inhibitor down, and it's on the top side of the Rift, that's the best Elder Dragon inhibitor that you could possibly have.
And full build now up and running for White Lotus. I'm beginning to think with this guy being 6-0-6, having full build, 413 CS at 38 minutes, maybe Jensen should know what his name is. Maybe at this point, you recognize who you're going up against, because White Lotus in this game has proved himself to truly be a monster on this Varus pick. He's landed some great chains. He's had some awesome damage throughout multiple team fights. And like we already mentioned, the fact that he hasn't died at all on an 80 carry with no escapes shows he's got his positioning down.
Yeah, and it's a Varus, not like a Xayah, who doesn't really have escapes, but has the ability to outplay with the ultimate.
Right.
Varus, very hard to execute, but he's got the team supporting him. Lyon, they're not going straight towards the Elder Dragon just yet. They're setting up the vision, but most importantly, they're pushing bottom lane.
They're just going straight for this tier 3. White Lotus only needs one more auto attack. Already found it. Taking this one down now so they can fight on the inhibitor if they want to. Nothing really there to protect Cloud9, but C9 forces them back. Adi a little bit hurt, needs to regen with that Warmog.
But it is a clever team play once again from the side of Lyon. Blue buff was spawning, they'll be able to pick that up on the way through, and now they control the vision, knowing that C9 can't be in a bush. That there's no way for Cloud9 to be somewhere surprising. They know exactly where they are at every single moment. Now they just need to defend middle lane as C9 push it. It looks like Cloud9 vying for that control back themselves. I like this move.
Cloud9 is not willing to go silently on this one. They won't sit in their base. They're not just going to wait around for Lyon to take the objectives and look to end, but now they're on the retreat. They recognize the fact that they are behind. They've got to respect what Lyon can do as a team. Representatives from Latin America North proving their team fighting capabilities multiple times throughout this game alone, let alone the play-in group stage. Now looking potentially at this Elder Drake. Remember, super minions are
already looking
at the top part of the base. Saya, the target of Contracts. Ulti not really finding a lot there. Now Contracts, the one who's taking a lot of damage. Ulti also coming out from
It's all zoning. They want to get the Elder.
They're still trying to get it. Redemption comes down. Cloud9 still maybe looking to take the fight, but it's Adi who's able to lock 3 into the pit, as now he's soaking the damage. Impact here on the front line, taking a big bite out of the Jarvan. Finds the kill now as White Lotus gets himself stunned up. More damage coming through. Jensen not quite able to find the kill on that one as Contracts goes for Saya. Not quite able to do it. The heal from the Janna will not be there. White Lotus still trying to take that Elder Drake as Jarrell's going to be taken down closely next. Nearly falls. He's alive. Find his way with the twisted advance as Sneaky gets the Elder. Gentek's looking to take the Blast Cone to get himself away to safety. Cloud9's base is just being absolutely bonked this whole time. They've got to go back and save
They're
it.
so lucky that Sneaky just got the Elder Drake of all things to keep them in this game. But you're right, their base, it is being dismantled by Super Creeps. One of the Nexus turrets is gone. The inhibitors mid lane's being pushed, bottom lane's being pushed. I feel like Lyon, they just got too caught up in the moment, too caught up in the pressure of what C9 were throwing at them. They just needed to not fight for an extra 30 seconds, and the minions might have ended the game for them.
Two team fighting teams playing team fighting comps is a good spectator experience in League of Legends, Rusty. This is so much more entertaining than the first game was, largely just because of these two teams colliding head-to-head, front-to-back comps. It's just coming down to who plays it better, and that time, Cloud9 had the edge.
And it was only a slight edge, to say the least. White Lotus still plays the team fights well. You know, good awareness from Jensen to still get the ultimate onto White Lotus at the end of that. But it wasn't going to kill him because the QSS, the ability to keep himself alive and healthy, auto-attacking the Elder Dragon just to keep that life still going. It's these little details that mean so much at 40-odd minutes into the game when a team fight breaks out. And I feel like they've both got it down. The Sneaky, in this case, I'm going to say got a little bit luckier.
Sneaky with full build now as well, 70% crit. He's got the armor pen, he's got the scimitar. Let's take another look at the fight.
Now, White Lotus, you can see his health. Disregard Jarrell's flash, pretend it never happened. Teleport comes in. It definitely happened. He almost died for it. But as this happens, just it looks like a rapid fire cannon distance proc bonus as well from Sneaky on that auto. Not many people will be able to beat that.
6,461 damage in the last team fight. Sneaky no slouch on the DPS charts, but White Lotus, Seiya, and Jensen all not far behind either. Getting to the point of the game where the tanks are not doing a whole lot.
That was a Contract's ultimate onto White Lotus. He used his Mercurial Scimitar. I mean, that's important.
It is a lower cooldown on the Contract's ultimate. It's only 58 seconds on that Sejuani ulti.
Yeah.
Remember, the Mercurial Scimitar is 90, so that gives you a 30-second window approximately.
Well, who needs 30 seconds, Captain Flowers, when you've got an Elder Dragon and a Baron buff up and available?
All right, here we go. Cloud9 forcing the issue. Looks like they would just want to end this game potentially on this Baron team fight. Nature's Grasp fired off, only finds its way onto Contracts. Ball thrown down to zone the rest of Cloud9 away. Baron rapidly regenerating. Contracts will soon be doing the same thanks to Warmogs. Seiya hanging around in the brush. Contracts still below half HP, not getting the chance to regen the way he wants to.
And with the inhibitors all up and available for Cloud9, they're able to make plays like this. Minions still not going to pressure in just yet, but you can see it on top and bottom. The side waves still in control of Lyon. It feels like they've got everything going for them. And then mid lane, you've got White Lotus. No QSS though.
He's just pushing up into the mid lane, killing the turret because Cloud9 can't stop him.
And if they do try to stop him, they'll take the Baron. So they're just playing every single area of Summoner's Rift at the same time. They are besting Cloud9, it looks like.
This is being wonderfully played by Lyon. They got the tier 3 turret for free. Cloud9 is now just being led around. Like, I'm seriously impressed with Lyon's ability to do this. There's a lot of times, even in some of the larger regions, where you see teams not be able to lead their opponents around from a macro perspective that way.
And back to the Baron buff. It looks like Lions still want to go for this.
Cloud9 trying to go for Audi here, forces him to flash away. Baron still at 1/3 HP.
If they can't do it,
disengaging from it.
Lions still win the map. Look at top, look at bottom on the mini-map. The minions that are pushing in. Lyon just want to not fight and control the mid lane. C9 have to.
Contracts tries to go for the ulti instead, finds it between the goalposts of Seiya and White Lotus. Not what they wanted to see on that with the shockwave coming down onto the Cho'Gath. Impact flashing away. Stun out onto Geralt by
they got Jensen.
Audi goes in, catches him out. Jensen forced to flash. Big Summoner Spell cooldown.
And Cloud9 have to go defend their base. They have no choice. Lion should get a free Baron for this. You're looking at Contracts perhaps for the steal. If all of Cloud9 hang around, then they run the risk of losing inhibitors. They're all here except for Impact. He has the teleport.
Oh, this fight's gonna turn real sketchy real quick.
Baron
down to
doing
one
it.
quarter. Cloud9 now finding themselves here in the pit. Impact and Contracts both hanging around. Jensen over the wall as well. Impact grabbing the secure onto the Baron with the Cho'Gath Feast. But now where does the fight go from here? Sneaky's got to be careful. He can't afford to walk into a shockwave. Contracts on the front line. Gargoyle Stoneplate to keep himself alive a little bit longer. Jensen down below half HP. Impact is still stuck in the pit. He secured the Baron for his team, but he's going to be the sacrificial lamb as the minions pour into the Cloud9 base. They take down the bottom lane inhibitor. The teleport into the top lane. It's 2 inhibs down for Cloud9.
And a big flank from Geralt.
Geralt shows up. He's got very little mana here on the front line. He might be able to lock down Sneaky the shockwave. Not going to be finding anyone just yet. Sneaky's going to have to find an immaculate amount of damage in this fight. Lyon looking to push up into the Cloud9 base. Gensix gets himself taken out by Jensen. As Geralt barely walks away, Contracts now surviving the damage from White Lotus. 1 dead on the side of Lyon, but they do get the 2 inhibitors thanks to the minions.
Oh Lord. The Baron being taken by Impact, the Elder being taken by Sneaky, all of these little details. The game could have just ended to minions if Lyon got Baron and just walked the Baron buff in. But step 1 still belongs to Lyon. They control the minion waves. The vision is equal between both of them. And ultimately, Lyon still with complete control of Summoner's Rift. The only saving grace is the coordinated Feast and Smite from Contracts and Impact. Look at Seiya controlling the carries of C9. The ball's always just next to them. They want to walk in. They want to do damage. But I mean, they literally cannot. The shockwave will kill them if they do. So they have to back away. They acknowledge that Impact's dead. And that's the trade that Lyon saw, and they said, we can win the game from this exact moment. Close, but not quite.
Cloud9 continues the eternal defense. We're at the point in this game, Rusty, where the gold's not starting to mean a whole lot anymore. And even if it did mean a whole lot, there's only a 2K difference between these two teams after 47 minutes of fighting. Damage dealt total this game. 57,000 from White Lotus, 48,000 from Sneaky, and 31,000 from both mid laners. Honestly, a grand total of only 700 damage difference between the two mid laners. These guys just been going, we were joking earlier about how they just go blow for blow back and forth with each other, but man, they are just neck and neck.
I mean, tell me they don't just feel matched when you watch them play as well. Even in game number 1, the difference was the blue buff more than the skill of the player. 7-0-7, the scoreline of the AD carry from Lyon in White Lotus. What a performance from him so far, but it still takes that one more team fight. That's what we're waiting for. Cloud9 will be stuck in their base for this team fight, you would have to imagine. And the mid lane inhibitor is the one thing that Lyon want and need.
Cloud9 will do everything they can to protect it. Obviously, once you lose all 3, that's when the double super minions start pouring in, and that's when the defense just becomes a full-time job. Cloud9 will do anything in their power to prevent that from happening. Elder Drake not up for spawn just yet, so this is pretty much the name of the game right now.
And you're seeing the patience from Lyon as well, waiting for the super minions to push into the base. Once bottom pushes in and they see Impact go to deal with it, remember, one Nexus turret, he has to deal with it, then they'll most likely look towards the mid lane inhibitor. Same thing with top lane, and if they can get both going at once, the mid inhib should be free. So far, C9 defending extremely well to try and keep them out of the base.
Adi takes a single auto attack from Sneaky, and it doesn't really do that much damage to him, for being quite honest. For a 6-item AD carry, Adi's pretty tanky. Contracts and Impact also hanging around 5,000 HP.
Here they go. Top wave is pushed in. They saw Jensen deal with the minions. They start to... Oh, that was a lot.
Big root onto White Lotus. Contract's ulti just barely going to be missing out on that one. Gerald trying to get himself away. Fires off the Nature's Grasp. Wants to use it as a disengage mechanism, but now Lyon might see their opportunity to put the last couple of hits in one of the mid lane in hit, but they're not quite able to find it. Cloud9 may want to defend this, but they've got to be careful about the fact that Contracts is hurt going into it.
That's one
no
auto
minions
attack.
pressuring in the base right now, and Lyon gets what they came for.
Yeah, so that's all 3 inhibitors gone. However, how long it took to get that inhib means that the rest will probably spawn pretty soon.
It never ends.
Elder in 1 minute. That's what we're looking at now. It is so neck and neck. It's just the Cloud9 are just stuck in their base.
Stuck in their base, at least for the foreseeable future, because of the fact those 3 inhibs are down for now. Creates a very difficult situation with that Elder spawning soon. You probably just have to give it over at this point. I mean, you can't afford to just let the super minions destroy everything.
There is maybe one chance I would give Cloud9 to go and defend that Elder Dragon. And it's Impact clearing that top wave right now and trying to get in before the next wave crashes. But because it's double waves, I really don't see that as a viable option given how much pressure mid and bottom will also be placing. So it's going to be too disjointed if they attempt to get in and defend this. But Impact is looking. Impact is going to walk his way down. Sneaky's also rotated. Cloud9, they don't want the Elder to go.
Contracts is way too close. He's going to be singled out and bursted down before he can do much of anything. The shield going to be keeping him alive.
Still alive.
Adi now here in the pit trying to defend, be the front line of Team Lyon. But Sneaky's able to find free firing time. Gerald now going to be the tank. Nobody dead so far. Cloud9 still looking to make this fight happen. The root out on Gerald. White Lotus. They got him. Goes down to Jensen's burst.
And Jensen comes up with a hero play. Cloud9 still with no health to their names. No Warmogs on the choker. He has teleport. He might want to recall. The waves of hell inhibs are up.
Hanging around. Side lane inhibitors back up for Cloud9. Adi over the wall. May look to go in. Steal this with the blast cone. Comes over the wall.
Reset.
The Drake may reset here. It does slightly. Adi has to go back with the flag and drag. Cloud9 pulling the Drake out yet again to make sure they secure it, and they do.
That is so tragic. The dragon resets as Adi goes in and looks for the steal. Not going to happen. So 2 Elder Dragons have belonged to Cloud9. The inhibitors have back up. They've respawned. And Contracts is the one who gets caught to start this all off.
All planned.
As if a bit of deja vu seeing Contracts caught out of position in this game. But he lives, and he continues to live. Janna's healing, redemption, everything there to keep him alive. Meanwhile, Gerald, yes, he's tanky, but White Lotus steps up. Jensen sees his chance, takes that one opportunity. And I wouldn't say outplayed. The stun was an outplay. The rest of it was just Syndra's kit.
The rest of it was the Syndra play style. Press R with your mouse hovering over the enemy champion. Now Contract here on the front line yet again. The ball is back in Cloud9's court. The last time it was here, they found it immediately given back over to their opponents. Baron is spawning, and as is Cloud9 tradition, they have to go force the fight right now. Baron should go down rather rapidly. Lyon recognizing this, wanting to get themselves in here. Cloud9 not going to back away this time. Sneaky secures the Baron, but can Cloud9 get themselves away? Both tanks going to be locked down. Stone plates pop to try to make this exit as gracefully as possible. Audi on the front line trying to keep Impact locked down. Sneaky getting himself away along with the rest of Cloud9. And nobody drops this time.
And Odi brings the walls down super early on that job, and Ultimate doesn't want to die to Impact's damage, but at the same time doesn't want Lyon to secure the kill, so doesn't risk anything. They will just stick it out as the 5v5.
Want to go ahead and let everyone know we are now officially watching the longest game so far of Worlds 2017. Previous record was 52-18, and we are just about to go a full minute beyond that. These teams putting everything on the line here, leaving it all on Summoner's Rift. Nearly 1 hour of game time in one of the closest games possibly imaginable in this elimination stage. Cloud9 now with the Elder Drake, with the Baron, seeing what they can do. Throwing out the Sejuani ulti, not honestly getting a lot done with that one right now.
Was close, however, to locking down White Lotus. Remember, he has the Mercurial Scimitar. It's all about popping that cooldown as early as you can. If you do it before a fight happens, well, then that's exactly where you want to find yourself. Disregard the gold difference as well between these teams. If it's over 90k, they're all at full build.
Right.
What we're looking at, though, is Cloud9 with the Baron buff, with the team fight threat. Sneaky also just so fed, pushing him with a Janna supporting him. And the minions now working with them, compliments of the Baron. But still, the one lane they're not in. Looks like Lyon are doing pretty well at equalizing it.
And I've got to give so much props to Lyon Gaming, because we came into this series talking about issues with their macro, and this game, whether it's their out rotations that we've seen against Cloud9 at multiple times, or just the fact that they've been in control of this game for, I've got to say, at least 75% of it. This is a team that assessed their mistakes during that one-day break between the group stage and the elimination stage. They found the errors, and they seem to have found a solution to those errors, and they are seriously impressing me in this second game.
Yeah, honestly, this is nothing short of amazing watching Lyon play. And you know, a lot of people from just watching the group stages would have said they are the team that could cause the upsets just as much as anyone else from the pool 1 seeds. They're giving it to Cloud9, but C9 still have all of the control on Summoner's Rift right now. They've been pushed to the wire, but you give Cloud9 that one opportunity to push in, that one mistake that you make that gives them the map. Well, look how much map they take from it.
And it's interesting that you said that one mistake, because the one fight that Lyon lost, the one death for White Lotus, that's his only death in 55 minutes. Sneaky can say the same. Of course, his death was a little bit earlier, but he's still sitting on only one after nearly an hour of play. Incredible defenses coming out from both AD carries this game.
And it really just goes to show how perfect you have to play if you're against C9 in situations like this. Lyon, they're a slow, methodical team. They don't just throw everything at their opponents. In this instance, well, now they're against the wall. They are going to be the ones that have to try and make some kind of play.
Cloud9 with Baron buff remaining for another 15 seconds, trying to put more damage into the base. Remember, this Lyon base still has not been cracked open. There are no vulnerable inhibs.
Every single time, Cloud9, they push top lane. They're like, no worries, we'll go push top lane, we'll threaten that side. And then they look mid lane, they look bottom lane, and minions are pushing out. They're not threatening more than one lane at once. They are solely grouping up as a 5v5 to team fight. Every single time they group up to 5v5, they lose the tempo in every other wave, and so they spend a minute dealing with it. We're at 56 minutes in this game. C9 cannot control all 3 lanes at once still.
One thing I want to point out that I'm noticing in the inventories right now, like you already mentioned, Rusty, everybody's at 6 items. Well, everybody except for the supports, but the difference between these two, Spectre's Cal and Genthix wanting to go for one final true item, while over on the side of Smoothie, he's not bothering with that. He's just keeping a stack of control wards, even though he has enough gold to purchase something like a Spectre's Cal if he wanted. Cloud9 prioritizing some extra vision on the map to keep eyes on Lyon.
And it may not be a big deal, but ultimately if I was playing support this position, and I'm not Genthix, I may have held off on the Spectre's Cal until I could buy a full item. That's the way that I would have seen it. In fact, he's just sold it and gotten 3 control wards. So clearly what he has done is he's purchased the Spectre's Cal because they're stuck in their base against the Baron buff team. He wants to have the magic resistance for the Syndra. Well, now he doesn't need to because the map's closer to equal, so he sells the item. Still believe that 3 control wards as the last slot is the name of the game for any support.
This game has been raging back and forth for so long, and after 57 minutes of fighting, we're still at this break-even point. This could still go either way. When people ask me what kind of games I like to cast the most, what kind of games I enjoy watching the most, I always say the ones where you don't know who's going to win until the final team fight's over. And this is one of those kinds of games because it could seriously go either way just as easily, depending on who plays it right. And I love that.
And when you look at the game length of just being at 57 minutes into this one, if we pass 58 minutes, this is longer than two of Cloud9's games against Lyon put together.
Against anyone
in
put
their
together.
Group, rather, put together.
Against anybody.
Yeah.
You can take any of the two previous games. We're actually all, well, no wait, I guess if you took the average, we're over double the average already,
Yes.
but there are the upper end of those that could still pass the current time up, but not for long. Cloud9 up 7,000 gold, but like we said, it means a whole lot of nothing.
This is where you want that Meteos kick, you know?
Yeah.
It just doesn't exist.
You
It's
gotta
contracts on the set
get
body.
that in there, but we got 1 minute till Baron's up. Elder Drake will also be making a reappearance here shortly in a couple of minutes. And like you mentioned when we were discussing it earlier, when the gold doesn't matter anymore, that just means that whoever owns those uber buffs, they're the ones that truly have the edge. It just means more and more and more as you approach this in-game state.
And through this game, actually, nope.
Wow, that was instant from White Lotus.
So it happens when the Syndra hits the stun first as well, but that is the QSS. That's such a big cooldown. We've mentioned this a couple of times already. This could be a really bad state for White Lotus to find himself in, knowing that he doesn't have the QSS there to keep him alive if Syndra finds him. If Sejuani has the ultimate back off cooldown.
But it is such a tricky window because you've got to wait the 45 seconds for the Sejuani ult to come back, and then you've got to execute in the next 32 seconds after that.
And would you believe it, Captain Flowers, we're back at the bush. And there's a fight
Where it all
potentially happening.
started is where it may all end. Cloud9 looking to potentially go onto Lyon here, but not finding the rupture means that plan will cancel out. Still looking to contest Vision over this brush.
C9 still have control of mid lane though. They've pushed the wave out. They don't need to respond to the Baron unless Lyon are doing it, which they are right now. The push is on. The question is, do Cloud9 react to this fight? They don't push mid lane. It looks like they want it.
There's a large minion wave bottom side for Lyon as well. Lyon likely recognizing this. That's why they're making this fight happen now. Jensen losing 3/4 of his HP to the combo from Seiya. However, that means the shockwave cannot be used in the upcoming fight. Positioning now, much less of a concern for Cloud9. They don't have to worry about walking into those. Audi flag and drag over the wall to keep himself safe. Cloud9, they realize there's that many minions in their bottom lane. They're pinging it right now. They're saying, look, it's time to do or
Someone
die.
has to deal with
We
this.
say do. Cloud9 starting up the Baron. Got it down to about half HP. Nature's Grasp comes out from the Maokai, trying to lock these guys down. Contracts coming in.
The QSS
Finds
was
the
back.
ulti, but the QSS was back up. White Lotus going to be kept alive for now. Tanks on the front line doing exactly what their namesake says. Jarol and Adi trying to stay alive, but the first kill goes to Sneaky.
Sneaky's damage is incredible though. It looks like Cloud9 with the reset of Smoothie's ultimate. They're not respecting the base. It is starting to die. One inhibitor's gone, but they're back on the Baron. Look at Adi.
Cloud9 trying to take this Baron. Their base is being taken apart, though. They've got to make sure they finish this off cleanly. Baron down to about 3k HP. Adi comes into the pit, but it's secured by contracts. Adi likely going to drop here as a result of jumping there into the pit. Now Sneaky on the killing spree. They're finding the kills onto Lotus and Genthix as well. It's one man versus the world. Seiya stands alone.
Still the triple kill for Sneaky. Teleport there from Impact. They are not looking at defending their base at all. They want to end this one right now. 4 people dead for a very long time. You would have to imagine the Cloud9 can do this. As long as they walk in 1 minion, Seiya's got Rogue.
Seiya knows that he cannot defend 1 versus 5. He is going for the outplay. Cloud9 has 1 minion there. Seiya trying to flash, clear these minions out of the way, but it will not be enough. 61 minutes into the game, and Cloud9 finds the win.
That was a very long, intense game for both of these teams, but ultimately Cloud9, they're able to put themselves up on that pedestal 2-0 in the best of 5 series. And we said after game 1, maybe it doesn't affect them mentally if you're Lyon. Well, after game number 2, I'm going to say that one affected them just a little bit.